All right. Ooh. All right. Y'all hear me? I'm going to call this meeting to order. Thank you for your patience. Attendance is that we have 8 board members attending in person this evening, and 1 board member, Ms. Candy Cruz, attending virtually by phone. Ms. Cruz, right now, can you establish that you are indeed here? We can hear you and you can hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me, Ms. Gaiman?
Yeah, I'm getting thumbs up. All right, we are good. Thanks very much. Could I ask you all to please rise for saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I've looked at the request to address the board this evening, and there are no individuals who signed up for visitor comment to speak. So moving on to moving on to the superintendent update. We do, actually, solicitor, we would just say we met for executive session immediately prior to this meeting for the purposes of discussing personnel.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And other than that, we had no other exec sessions. So moving on to superintendent's report. Dr. Mann.
Thank you, Mrs. Gaiman. I just have 2 items for tonight. The first, and I put this out an update to the board, as we begin the school year and monitor enrollment, we've seen significant increases in special ed enrollment at the intermediate school. We've been monitoring it closely, trying to allocate staff to meet the needs of the students, and we think it's very likely that because of these increased enrollment numbers, we're going to have to add a staff member, a special ed staff member at the intermediate school, again, to meet these very well-defined needs of our students. So our intention is to post the position, go through the selection process as always. This is something we obviously try to avoid during the midst of the school year, but this is the increase in students could not have been predicted. And so we will certainly keep the board posted on that. And then the second topic also that I sent out is that, believe it or not, as we're in maybe week 2 of school, we're planning graduation already. And we have always held our graduation at Stabler Arena. And this is the first year where our stadium truly is available for graduation. But in conversation with our high school principal and looking at logistics and what perhaps might serve the needs of our constituents, particularly elderly individuals, our recommendation is to continue to have it at Stabler Arena. And if we, in fact, are to have it there, we'll be coming back to the board with a contract. But I did want to, again, call that to the board's attention as we've had discussions about graduation over the course of the past 2 years. So certainly we're open to any conversation on either of those topics. And if not, Mrs. Gaiman, that concludes my report for tonight.
Thank you very much. Moving on to curriculum, student, and staff services, we can have a motion to dispose of district items from materials inventory lists provided on the agenda.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Carney.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz, for the second. Any questions or comments on this list? Just a thank you to the staff who've gone through the dusty materials inventory every once in a while to dispose of these things and donate them as needed. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. All right, we don't have anything under special education, technology, budget, finance, or support services. So moving on to human resources. We have a human resources report. Can I have a motion to approve those personnel items presented in the human resources report?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Carney, for the motion and Mr. Mond for the second. Any questions or comments on these items before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Committee reports. That brings us to the committee reports. Policy Committee will be having its first meeting of this school year on Wednesday. I'm checking my calendar and make sure I'm correct. Next Wednesday. And that concludes my report for policy. Any other committee reports? Yes,
I
Mr.
can
Mond.
give a report on LCTI.
Yes.
We had a meeting last week. It was quite an extensive overview of what's been going on and accomplishments in that venue. There were Skills USA discussions. There was actually a gold medal winner at the national level from Northern Lehigh in recreational vehicle repair and small engines. There was discussions of other achievements by the school. There were quite a few. I'm not going to go through those too much. And just an update on newer programs. There's animal sciences, which has also been extended to veterinary technology. So rather than just being the 1 year, it can be multiple years. And then emergency health services and protective services. That's another high demand program that's being expanded. I would just go through and say that, there are some other avenues going on with apprenticeships and pre-apprenticeships, and having some higher level engagement with those activities, because apprenticeships are key to graduating students to move into their eventual career. And it's a good certification and the ability for those students to move on into industry and have some additional skill sets and experience under the tool belt. So I would say those are probably the main items from this past meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Other committee reports? Mr. Carney, did you or who? Thank you. Ms. Torba.
Just quickly, next Monday, September 16th, the Technology Committee will resume. It'll be our first meeting to kick off 24-25. We're uber excited to learn more about the Infinite Campus rollout, which is a massive project. Dr. Mann, thank you for manning that project the entire summer and launching the opening of school. To those that don't know, it is such a big project. I know, like when the stadium and the track and the turf was all put in, that was a massive project. Facilities Committee, you probably still have nightmares and sweats about it. Launching your student information system is just as big, if not bigger, because it involves every student, every staff, every teacher, every administrator, parents, just to make sure our data is safe and secure and accessible. So we're looking forward to learning more on that end, where we can make improvements and celebrate our successes with the launch. So Monday the 16th, 4 o'clock.
Come on.
Come on, yeah.
Come on.
Get your tickets now to the 4 people in the audience.
One of them is expected, so.
Yeah. This will be.
So punchy since Nicole's Cat Stevens comment.
All right. That concludes the tech. While I'm looking this way, Mr. Boyer, any facilities updates or to be continued facilities meeting coming up?
No, we're looking at, we didn't have one in September. There wasn't much of an update other than just progression with the library RFP and awarding that to the vendor discussed at the last meeting. So we're looking to beginning of October. We'll meet up and discuss status update on the library project and next steps with the vendor on preparation for hopefully a summer of next year execution.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Going back around, Mr. Carney, any committee updates?
ACMC, Thursday, 3:30. We're looking at three approvals for continuing ed and the calendar for the year. Education Committee will not meet in September. We are going to meet October 7th at 4:30. It's about a half hour. Well, it's a half hour later than we had last year. And we're looking at finalizing some kind of schedule, but we're looking at a status report on the RFPs for full-day kindergarten, comprehensive plan update, and some curricular updates on Spanish immersion, ELA, social studies, and math, and perhaps more topics, but more to come.
All right. Thank you very much. That concludes our committee reports. Anything under nothing under new business?
I have something under new business.
And we have under Mary Jo. Sorry, could you use your microphone so we can?
Can you hear me? I did have a follow-up on the Education Committee. I really appreciate the work that's specific to committees and the detail that folks get into working together in a smaller group. However, the things that you're going to be reporting on or looking into are things that are, of concern to the full board and the community. And it would be helpful if we could have those reports provided in this meeting so that our community members could hear them and all of us could hear them without having to attend yet another meeting. Just a comment for the committee's consideration.
To consider
That's all.
a way to update the community. That's a great idea. Well, I'm sure the Education Committee can.
Update.
Yeah.
At our meetings, we didn't have any meeting in September, so there was
Right.
no update. But at these board meetings, anytime after meeting, I give updates. If there's periodic updates between meetings, I'm usually pretty good on that. So the updates right now are here. Are you asking for updates in some other way?
In the previous 2 years, the staff presented detailed reports, PowerPoints, and data directly to us and to the community.
Oh, so if there are any data reports, sure.
Okay.
Thanks.
Emily, I
right,
do
mo-
have some new business I'd like to discuss.
New business, Dr.
New
Ware?
business, yes.
Under
So
new business, go ahead. Yes.
It has come to my attention that we may have potential discriminatory practices on our golf team with
Hold on,
regard to
pause,
giving
pause,
girls
pause,
an
pause,
opportunity to
Wait, if you
participate.
just said discriminatory
post-
practices,
Potential.
I'm
I
gonna-
said I'm concerned
wait a minute.
that we may
No,
have
hold on.
practices.
Discriminatory practices
may
is a legal
impact-
concern,
Can
and
I,
I'm going to
may I
refer to the
please just
Listen,
present?
to prevent
May-
legal liability, when I hear the phrase discrimination, I'm going to turn to the solicitor. So just pause for one moment. If Dr. Wayhock wants to propose something that he is saying is affiliated or associated with discriminatory practices in our district, I'm going to mic you.
Could you please use a microphone?
Sorry.
Understood. I mean, I just think we have to be careful, Dr. Wayak, because
Absolutely.
if it deals with particular students, there's privacy issues, personnel, there's privacy issues, and
So-
also could possibly open up the district to legal liability.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
just,
and I'm not speaking specifically to any individual. I'm talking about a practice that we have, a practice regarding giving girls an opportunity to participate in postseason tournaments that are geared directly towards girls. We do not have a girls team. We do not have a girls golf team. We had a handful of girls or more try out. Upon learning about the way the district and the Colonial League practices, girls have a special opportunity at the end of a regular season play to play in a girls-only tournament. So similar to kind of girls wrestling. So I would like to make a motion to send a supportive letter on behalf of
one
Southern
particular
Lehigh
student.
School. No, not at all. Not one particular individual at all. Actually, multiple individuals who would be impacted.
Well, I think
The letter would state, it's a very general letter. It's not directed towards any individual student. I'd like to pass along this letter. Basically, it would state to District 11 Golf and Colonial League Golf committees. We understand that there is a Colonial League Girls Individual Championship and District 11 Girls Individual Championship at the end of the regular golf season. We also understand that there are no Colonial League or District 11 schools that have a girls golf team. We had a few female golf athletes try out for the Southern Lehigh High School golf team. As a result of high demand among our students and limited availability at our golf course facility, some of our female golfers were not able to participate in daily practices during the regular season as part of the team. Because we do not have a girls golf team, we recommend those female students be allowed to participate in the Colonial League Girls Individual Championship as well as District 11 Girls Individual Championship if their scores would otherwise qualify them to enter. Objective scores can be provided based upon our tryout process. This is not in particular to any one individual, but it is my understanding that multiple individuals may be impacted. And really, this is just hopefully something we could all support, just to give girls an opportunity to potentially participate. I think our district, we had a high demand, a very good team. It's great, but we have these kind of self-imposed limitations that take away opportunities for some individuals. And I would love to see us open up those opportunities, just to break down any barriers that we may have.
So I would say that if you want to discuss a policy for all girls in perpetuity, not just particularly any of the girls that were impacted, that would be a policy discussion.
Right. And that's exactly what I'm not looking to single out any one individual. It really is any girls who may have tried out and maybe they may not even know, some may not even know they have an opportunity to potentially participate. This would just be a supportive letter in that regard to open up those potential opportunities. I would love to see the board support that. And I make a motion to send this letter on behalf of our school district.
So I don't think we can add it to the agenda tonight
Okay.
because it has to be posted. This is the thing that we run
Okay.
into all the time.
Gotcha.
It has to be 24 hours on the agenda.
Okay.
So we unfortunately ran into the same situation with girls wrestling, where it had to be properly posted before the board could deliberate and have a conversation on that. So I think if it's the will of the board to have it on the next agenda, but that's up to the board.
I don't know if there's a time-sensitive nature to this. I'm not sure, Dr. Mann, if you could comment on any time-sensitive nature. I guess I just love to hear support, for those individuals who, just to give more opportunities for these girls.
Dr. Wegg, if we're talking about this as a policy going forward in future years,
Yeah, sure.
then there will not be a timeline. I am aware, if we're talking about this year specifically, that there is a timeline, but the date escapes me at the moment.
All right, so if this is something that, from a policy perspective, we want to explore expanding opportunities for girls golf in our district, we can absolutely look at this. Will the board to add this to a future agenda, or the policy committee, if it's a policy that we're going to look at? Absolutely, the policy committee can take this up and look at it in future years, and to explore those opportunities. Sure, we'll take this under advisement. And thank you, Dr. Wayok, for your patience. When I hear certain words, I just need to consult a solicitor, so I appreciate that you paused and allowed Ms. Moyer to weigh in. And thank you, Ms. Moyer, for weighing in that regard. Okay.
Could we, just another question for our solicitor, would we be able to direct administration to support such a letter coming directly from administration? Is that something we would be able to do?
I think you're creating a policy. If
Okay.
this is going to be something that is going to be put in place and considered for every year hereafter, I think it's more appropriate
Yeah.
for a policy deliberation versus just directing them to do this.
Just use it. But I mean, if there is a time sensitive, like if administration finds out, I guess there is a date or something. If there is a time sensitive nature to sending some type of supportive letter for these athletes, could we not support or make a motion to, ask our superintendent to look into sending such a letter? May I make a motion to direct our superintendent to, so I'd like to do that. I would like to make a motion to direct our superintendent to
But
send
it's
such a letter, such a similar letter in support of these female athletes.
But it's the same issue, Dr. Wayok, that it's not added to the agenda 24 hours before the meeting tonight.
Even if it doesn't require any financial outlay or anything like that?
The de minimis value, I'll have to pull up the Sunshine Act right now if you want me to look
Yeah,
at it. But typically I can tell you our advice consistent at my firm is do not put anything on the agenda within the
Nothing at
24-hour
all.
time period.
we have put stuff on the agenda previously that didn't have a budget issue, and I don't see that this has a budget issue or requires funding, so I'm a little concerned. The other question I have for council is this really a new policy, or is this more like an interpretive guideline of an existing policy?
I think it's a policy, Ms. Reinhardt, because I understand it's an interpretation of the Colonial League and what the board can do, but I think if it's the decision that we are going to implement a new practice or a new policy that hasn't been done, for however many years, I think it would be, because it's going to be uniform, because it's going to impact all girls. I think it is a policy then.
Okay, can we propose to get it on the next agenda?
If we're taking an approach of a policy perspective for all girls for all years henceforth, yeah, we can look at that. We have policies in the 120 series we still have to look at from a policy committee, and we can add that, I'm sure, to the next policy committee agenda and bring it to the board. Absolutely.
I guess I have another question then for council. How do we get items listed on the agenda if we aren't the policy committee?
I want to answer your question.
Okay, good.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
So I can
thank
just
you.
make
Thank you, Ms.
sure
Moyer.
That I want to make sure that I am thorough and accurate in what I'm talking about. I believe policy 006 has it in there. I'm just looking. Let me just read it.
Yeah, sorry.
So to be able to add something within the 24 hours, it has to be an emergency that relates to a real or potential emergency involving a clear and present danger to life or property. Business arising within 24 hours, the matter of business has arisen within 24 hours prior to the meeting, is de minimis, minor in nature, and does not involve the expenditure of funds or entering into a contract or agreement. And business is raised by residents or taxpayers during the meeting. That the board may take official action or refer the matter to staff if applicable to conduct research. If it does not involve expenditure of funds, but that has to be raised by residents or taxpayers. To me, that is somebody standing up at the meeting. So the question would be, does it fall within the de minimis? Does this rise to the level of a de minimis minor issue? To me, if you're asking my opinion, I don't think a policy is a de minimis issue if that's what we're going to be talking about. To answer your other question, Ms. Reinhardt, I think, typically I understand that probably the policy committee weighs in on things first, and then it is brought to the entire board for deliberation. However, I have also sat through these meetings where the administration has been asked to place certain things on the agenda, and it has appeared at the next meeting, i.e. discussion concerning girls wrestling. So I think if that is the will of the board and they want it placed, yes, that can happen.
And Ms. Randers, I was suggesting the next policy committee meeting because that occurs before the next board meeting, just as from a timing perspective. That's all.
Who's in charge of the policy committee?
I'm the chair of the policy committee.
Could
Dr.
I
Warick.
ask that
think
this
you
be
know.
discussed?
I'm sorry?
Could I ask that this be discussed at your next policy meeting?
I will have to check the agenda, but yes, I don't see why we can't at least put it on the agenda. I don't know what conclusions will be reached or what recommendations will be made to the board, but yes.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking that it be discussed just to
Sure.
allow for more opportunities and
Sure. Yeah, we can
perhaps more
put
equity
that.
within
We can put
within golf. Sure.
looking at that kind of a policy for all sports in which we only have one gender or the other that they're competing.
Yeah,
from a co-ed perspective.
this is just a really, it's just a really weird
Agreed.
way that the Colonial League and District 11, they have, there's no girls only teams, yet there are girls tournaments at the end in the postseason, multiple. So it's just really, it's really odd. I guess another question I would have for the solicitor in this regard would be, if we don't have a girls golf team, and in the bylaws of District 11 or the Colonial League, if they mention something to the effect that if your school does not have a team, then you could enter as an individual or enter, you could enter and play or potentially play or try to qualify, whatever. Would we qualify as not having a girls golf team? I mean, I'm just looking to be able to potentially provide opportunities for these athletes. And I just feel like there's these barriers that are just completely unnecessary. Some of them are self-imposed. And I'd just like to see those barriers broken down.
I mean, Dr. Wayak, I'm trying,
Yeah.
being put on the spot here and trying
I
to
understand.
interpret
No, and
the
I didn't
Colonial
ask
League
you
championship tournament.
But I know we have spoken about this, so I think there's some knowledge here.
So what were you? I'm sorry. What are you asking me?
Okay.
What,
I guess I'm asking, could we make the argument on behalf of these athletes that we don't really provide a girls golf team, that we really provide a boys golf team in which some girls are able to make it and some are not, but we have so many players that we have to cut a certain number, and could then they go potentially and say, well, really, Southern Lehigh does not have a girls team, so I should be able to enter as an individual because we don't have a girls golf team.
so
Do you think that's an argument that we could potentially make? And
I don't know about that one because
Okay.
we're offering the same opportunity, I believe, as all the other schools in the league that they have Dr. May, and I'm just looking at you. They're all co-ed teams, correct? So we're not doing any.
I think you're right. I think they're technically boys teams, but they do offer opportunities for girls. I think we're
Correct.
probably one of the only ones that have to cut because we have so many
Interest.
kids looking out.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. I mean,
Looking
I
to try
think
out.
you provide the same opportunities as every other district. I mean, every other school district
Yeah.
in District 11. However, because of the interest across the board, it may look different with regard to participation.
Gotcha.
I don't think you can make that argument, though. I think we provide the same opportunities. It's the fact that it's such a popular sport here in Southern Lehigh.
All right. Yeah, thank you for weighing in on that. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. So we will look to discuss that at future agendas and see what we can come up with. Moving on to other business. I have a motion for Ellis Katz, independent counsel, who was appointed by motion made and approved on
I'm
August
sorry, I
12th.
can't hear you.
You can't hear me? I'm
No,
sorry.
can't
I was
hear you.
wearing it before. I'm probably not close enough. I'll start again. Other business. Independent counsel. Can I have a motion that Ellis Katz, independent counsel, who was appointed by motion made and approved on August 12th, 2024, be authorized to cover additional personnel issues as necessary? I have a motion to that effect.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Carney. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Boyer. All those in favor?
Comments and questions?
I was going to say comments and questions. However, we can't really comment on this. I did that last
We can
time,
at
Mr.
least
Mon.
Voice some things, and I would just say that structurally, I would like to see some of the things that we had discussed resolved.
Noted.
Okay, that's my reluctance.
Sure.
I'm going to need to abstain from this vote as I don't have sufficient information to cast a vote.
All right, Ms. Reinartz and Ms. King, if you would please see Ms. Lively immediately after the meeting to fill out the paperwork associated with the abstention.
So I just want to reiterate that unfortunately the process in which this is coming to a vote before the board without, I think, multiple board members have voiced concern,
Careful,
with-
careful,
Oh,
Chris.
I'm being
Really
very
careful
careful.
here.
Please don't interrupt me.
No, no, no.
No,
It
no, no,
is-
I'm being very careful.
Okay.
I'm being very careful. Multiple board members have voiced concerns with the way this process is playing out.
Sure.
Asking to vote on something without having significant
Amounts of
information.
Sure.
Okay, so I just cannot, I cannot vote yes to this, given
Okay.
that we've already voted to ask for some conclusion, and we have not been given any significant information with regard to that conclusion. And now we're being asked specifically to authorize to cover additional personnel issues as necessary when we have not seen any, no board member, other than one individual, I believe, no board member has seen any significant information to be able to really make this vote. So I just cannot support this. I really wish the process would be, honestly,
Mhm.
to table this, to meet specifically with this individual who we've previously hired, and now we're being asked to extend, to get some conclusion for which we can make an educated decision with regard to this vote. So I feel very comfortable not supporting this right now because of that. I believe we cannot support this, and we can hopefully still have that, get that information, that conclusion, that preliminary conclusion, some information, really, honestly, any information for which we could make an educated decision.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
the
you.
care that you took in making that statement. I appreciate that. All right. And Mr. Mond, yes, last time I said any questions or comments, and I kind of choked on myself because we can't really comment on it. But yes, thank you. I appreciate what you're saying there. All right. So having had that commentary, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No, opposed.
Okay. I'm just going to do this for the record and for the benefit of Ms. Lobley for the minutes in the back.
Should we do a roll call?
Sure. Would we just say, all those in favor, please raise your hand to say aye. And I'm going to hold the mic up for Ms. Cruz to voice her verbal opinion. So Ms. Lobley, do that one more time, Candy.
Aye.
Okay. Ms. Lobley, just nod when you have that count. Or a thumbs up. Just, we'll keep our hands up. And Ms. Cruz is a yes. We'll keep our hands up until you indicate you have it. Wait, Stephen, did you have your hand up? Stephen, wait, no, hold on. We're voting. I didn't see.
Can we do a roll call? Can
Yes,
just do
we have a
roll call?
6
Let's
yes.
do a roll call.
You need a roll call.
All right, requesting a roll call. Dr. Wayak.
No.
Ms. Reinhardt.
I need information from council as to whether I can abstain because there's inadequate information from this vote, or whether I should vote no because there's inadequate information for this vote. I'm not sure which to do. No. But I'm voting no because I feel there's inadequate information.
Thank you. Mr. Mond?
I as well don't have the information I think I would like, but I've got to take heed of others, so I will say yes,
Thank you.
reluctantly.
Understood. Mr. Carney?
Yes.
Ms.
No.
King? No. Ms. King is no. Ms. Gaiman is a yes. Mr. Boyer? I'm sorry. Yes. Ms. Torba?
Yes.
Torba's yes. And again, Ms. Cruz for the roll call.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries by 6 affirmative votes. All right, moving on. Information only. There are professional conference requests and field trip requests. And I will refresh the visitor comment page in case we have someone, or actually, did anyone sign up to speak in the audience? No one signed up to speak. All right, fantastic. Then in which case I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Carney?
Too
Mr.
quick.
Carney has something else to say, and I blitzed through that. I apologize. Go ahead, Tim.
2 quick comments. I saw this week that 18% of families with children experience food insecurity. If anybody's interested in helping out, I'm involved with a church that does first Saturday donations. You can donate if you don't want to show up, or you can help pack the Friday before. So if anybody wants more information on that, let me know. I also found out that on 9/11, we will again have flags planted around the high school. If anybody's interested, they told me that it's at 5:30 in the morning. I said, what time are you taking them down? And they said at dusk. So that would be around 8 o'clock. So they did say they have enough help, but I just wanted to highlight the wonderful thing that they do every year for many years. I love seeing them every September 11th.
Yes, agreed. Thank you for bringing that up. It's a completely independent organization that, with the permission of the school, but does it themselves at the wee hours of the morning. Thank you very much. Any other board sharing that I neglected? All right, seeing none, now I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Mr. Carney. We are adjourned.